13th century Baghdad, the most brilliant city on earth. Its nights glowed like day because knowledge itself lit up its streets. Millions of books lived here. Philosophy, mathematics, astronomy, medicine, all of it thrived within these walls. People came from every corner of the world, some to learn, some to seek their fortune. In the markets, silk, spices, and gold changed hands. Behind the palace walls, the Caliph's court stood as a symbol of unmatched splendor. But no one knew that within these very streets, in just a few weeks, rivers of blood would flow. This is the story of a catastrophe that shook the soul of the Islamic world. A moment when knowledge and power burned to ashes together. And this story begins far away on the plains of Mongolia. Years after Genghis Khan's death, his grandson Hulagu Khan received an order. March west. Spare those who submit. Destroy those who resist. By then, Hulagu's army had already trampled half the known world. No fortress had stood before them. No kingdom had survived in their path. The small states along the way surrendered without a fight, laying down their weapons before a single arrow was fired. But Baghdad was different. Baghdad was not just a city. It was the heart of a 500-year-old Abbasid Caliphate. Its Caliph, Al Mustasim, believed himself to be the shadow of the Islamic world itself. Hulagu Khan sent a message to Baghdad: surrender or prepare for annihilation. The court erupted in debate over this message. Some nobles warned the Caliph this threat could not be ignored. But most of the courtiers were certain the Mongols would never dare attack a city as sacred as Baghdad. For centuries, this city had been considered unconquerable. No one believed anyone would have the courage to strike at its very heart. The Caliph rejected the message outright. According to some accounts, the response was so harsh that even Hulagu's envoys were humiliated. This was the moment when the wheel of fate began to turn. And now, there was no road left leading back. A cold January morning, 1258. Hulagu Khan's army surrounded Baghdad. Thousands of horsemen, heavy siege catapults, and an army that had never once known the meaning of defeat. With them came skilled Chinese engineers, bringing new kinds of siege weapons Baghdad had never seen before. Inside the city, people could not grasp what was happening. Some believed it was only a threat, that the Mongols would leave within days. The market stayed open. Life went on as best it could. But outside, with every passing hour, the siege drew tighter. Within the ranks, another question was rising. The court's vizier, Ibn al-Alqami, the Caliph's most trusted advisor, was said to have some contact with the Mongols. Historians still debate today whether he betrayed the city or simply read the situation more clearly than others. But one thing is certain: when the city needed unity more than ever, its court was fractured from within. 12 days. In just 12 days, walls that had stood for centuries began to crumble. When the Mongol army entered the city, what followed is difficult to put into words. The streets filled with the dead. It is said that along the Tigris River, on whose banks this city was built, the water ran in two colors for days. On one side, the red of blood. On the other, the black of ink. Because thousands of books had been thrown into the river. Beit al-Hikmah, the house of wisdom, where centuries of knowledge had been gathered, books of philosophy, medicine, astronomy, all of it, reduced to dust within a matter of hours. Historians still argue over how many lives were lost that day. Some records speak of hundreds of thousands. Others believe the numbers were exaggerated over time. But on one point, all agree: the scale of destruction was so vast that the Islamic world carried its trauma for decades to come. And then came the moment no one had expected. Caliph Al Mustasim was captured. According to tradition, the Mongols held a belief that spilling royal blood upon the ground was forbidden. So it is said, the Caliph was wrapped in a carpet and trampled to death beneath the hooves of horses. This account has been recorded in tradition for centuries, though some historians consider it a symbolic tale rather than literal fact. But whatever truly happened, the outcome was the same. A 500-year-old caliphate ended in a single day. The city that had once housed the greatest library in the world was now nothing but ash and silence. But the question remains, why did Baghdad fall so easily? The answer did not lie in Mongol strength alone. The Abbasid Caliphate had already been weakening from within. Regional nobles fought amongst themselves. The army was fractured. And most critically, the Caliph himself had no real understanding of just how dangerous the power he was facing truly was. History teaches us this lesson again and again. The greatest empires rarely fall to outside enemies. They fall to the weakness within. After Baghdad's fall, the political center of the Islamic world shifted forever. Power moved toward Egypt and later toward Turkey. But one thing never returned: the golden age of knowledge, when Baghdad had been the light of the world. The few scholars and physicians who survived the massacre fled the city, scattering toward Egypt, Syria, and distant lands, carrying whatever fragments of knowledge they could save. It was these scattered survivors who, in the centuries that followed, rekindled the flame of learning in other cities across the Islamic world. Baghdad's lamp had gone out, but its sparks reached far and wide. Politically, power now began shifting toward Cairo, where the Mamluk Sultanate was rising. And here, a new chapter was about to begin, because the Mongol army's next target was Egypt. But the army no one had ever defeated was about to meet its match on a new battlefield, chosen by history itself, Ain Jalut. But that is a different story, one we will tell in detail in another video. Today, when we walk through the streets of Baghdad, perhaps we no longer see what once stood there. But somewhere, in the waters of the Tigris, the echo of that day still remains. A day when knowledge lost and the sword won. Yet the question still stands today. Can any empire, no matter how powerful, remain safe forever? History's answer has always been the same: no.